If you're new to Typeform and don't know where to start, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll show you how to create your first Typeform, where to add logic and connect with other tools, how to share and publish your form, and what to expect from your results. But first, for those that don't know, Typeform is a tool that lets you create beautiful and powerful forms. This can be anything from a lead generation form to a customer feedback form to an order form. Basically, any form that you need, Typeform's got you covered. But we're not just a pretty face. Typeform goes a few steps further to help you personalize the respondent experience, analyze and interpret your results, and follow up quickly and seamlessly. Not to mention new features we have for organizing your contacts and setting up automations. But it all begins with a form. We're going to start by walking you through your organization and account settings, but if you've already gone through all of this, then feel free to skip ahead and jump right into creating your form. First, you'll have to create your Typeform account. If you're creating a new account, you'll also create an organization. As the creator of a new organization, you can do things like update your billing details and subscription, add members to the org, and change the organization settings. On the right, you'll see your personal account settings, where you can do things like change your username or login details and edit your email marketing preferences. Here you'll find your workspace. This is where all your forms live. Once you've populated your workspace, it may look something like this. Now let's create a form. I'll do that by clicking the Create Form button. The first thing you'll see is the option to create with Typeform AI. You can also start from scratch by clicking here. But let's start with AI. You can either type in your prompt or speak it directly by clicking this microphone icon. I need a lead generation form for my personal training services. Using AI is a great way to start creating the structure of your form, especially if you're not totally sure on what questions you want to ask. If you need help with prompting, we have some articles in our Typeform Help Center that'll give you best practices on prompting with Typeform AI. Once you click here, AI will start creating the form for you. And it'll come up with suggestions for your form. On the right, you'll see the questions it recommends, as well as any recommended logic. You can also preview what the form will look like here. You can keep prompting if you want to make changes, or simply click Create Form. Just like that, you'll have a fully fledged form. And you can always come back to the AI assistant whenever you need help with tasks in Typeform. To add more questions, click the Add Content button here. As you can see, there are a ton of different question types to choose from. So aside from the classics like multiple choice, contact info, or NPS, we also have some unique ones to call out, like the scheduler question, which lets you connect Google Calendar or Calendly directly to your form to book meetings. Or how about the signature question, which lets you collect signatures right on the spot. I really encourage you to just play around and see what kind of question types are available. If you want more than one question on a page, simply drag and drop them together, or click the Add Content button below the question to add a question to that page. To add or edit your question text, just type directly in here. And you can do the same for answer options. On the side panel, you'll see question settings, which lets you do things like make the question required or randomize answers, among other settings. These question settings will change depending on the question type, so keep that in mind if you don't see the same settings for every question. If you want to change the question type, you can do that here. You'll also see a video option up above. Depending on your plan, you can record or upload videos to your questions so that you're asking on camera instead of with text. This is really great to add personality to your brand and to help keep things more personal. Next, I want to add an ending to my form. Here you can add one or more ending or add a redirect to URL. Endings are a way to thank people for filling in your form. You can use them to say goodbye, redirect them to your website, or send people to different endings depending on how they responded to your form. Then you can click the Logic button and set up rules for who will see which ending. Logic lets you set rules so that you can personalize the form filling experience based on how your respondents answer your form. You can also set up logic and get an overview of your form's logic from the Workflow tab. Here you can also do things like add URL parameters, set up scoring, or set up custom variables. I'm not going to go into all the details about URL parameters, scoring, and custom variables here, but we do have a ton of resources in our Help Center to help you get started with these features. Back in the Content tab, I want to add a bit of design, which I can do from here. Click the plus sign to create a new theme. This is where you can do things like add your logo, change the font, and tweak the colors of your form. Then you can apply the same design to other forms that you create. If you're part of a bigger team, you can also add brand kits with your brand colors, logos, and font so that everyone in your organization can use your company's branding. If you want to add an image or media to individual questions, you can do that from question settings. You can upload your own image, or you can use our gallery to find one that works. Then you can change the layout of the question. Just make sure that you optimize the layout for both desktop and mobile. A lot of people fill in their form on a mobile device like a cell phone, so you really want to make sure that you're optimizing your form for both desktop and mobile. Clicking the gear icon lets you change your form settings, like removing Typeform branding, scheduling a close date, or adding translations to your form. To preview your form, click this play button here. When you're happy with your form, you can publish by clicking the Share button. Once it's been published, you'll see two new tabs, Share and Results. You'll be taken to a simplified share page where you'll be able to see some of the most popular sharing options. To see all of your sharing options, click here. So you can either share the link, embed it into an email, or embed it onto your website. And on the side here, you'll see some customization options depending on how you want to share your form. You'll also see this URL icon once your form is published, so that you can access the public link to your form from anywhere in the form builder. Once your form is live, you can integrate with other tools by clicking the Connect tab. Then, once you've started collecting responses, you'll be able to see those in your Results tab. Under Form Performance, you can see how people have interacted with your form, including things like the drop-off rate, which can be really helpful to see where your form might need some tweaking. The Response Summary tab gives you a question-by-question summary, including a shareable report for outside stakeholders. And the Responses tab will break it all down even further, showing you each individual response. Here you can deep dive into individual responses or filter the data in your table. If you're on a higher plan, you'll also be able to see some AI-driven insights under the Smart Insights tab that'll help you summarize and interpret your data. Okay, so this is a basic walkthrough of how to get started with Typeform. I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully this will help you get up and running quickly. Now, creating your form is just the first step. As I mentioned at the top of this video, there are a ton more features and functionalities in Typeform that'll help you do things like centralize all of your respondent data in a contacts table, and then set up automations and triggers to follow up with them. And as I've mentioned throughout the video, our Typeform Help Center is a huge resource for all of our features and functionality. So make sure to check that out for more step-by-step tutorials and tips on how to get the most out of Typeform. And there's always our YouTube channel, of course, if you want more videos on how to use Typeform and get the most out of our features. So make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any video drops.